Now, Jasmine Lee, Little Sai Icham. Jasmine Lee is the nation's first non-ethnically Korean lawmaker. Little Sai is an 8-year-old with a Korean dad and a Vietnamese mom. He shot to fame for his appearance in Sai's hit Gangam Style music video. And of course, Icham is the former Korean tourism organization chief. So, do you see my point?
Yes, I do. These are people of diverse ethnic backgrounds. They come from multicultural families. There's so few of them, yet they have impacted our lives one way or another. Are we doing enough, though, as Koreans to provide for them today? We have our Yoo Li-an joining us in the studio to touch on this topic.
So, hello, Li-an. The latest stats here show that 3 out of every 100 people living in Korea are foreigners. So, how big exactly is the foreign population in Korea today?
Well, the number of foreign residents have been steadily increasing over the past few years, and it actually surpassed 1.56 million at the beginning of this year, and that's equivalent to the population size of Daejeon, which is Korea's third largest city. Now, foreign workers from China make up a huge proportion of the foreign residents living in Korea, and most of them do live in the capital Seoul and the surrounding Gyeonggi-do province, but their quality of life has not kept pace with their population growth. Take a look.
This district, which sits at the heart of the industrial city of Ansan, is known as a borderless village. Take one glimpse down the street, and the signs in different languages give no indication that you're in Korea.
Southeast Asian workers began arriving in the mid-1990s to seek their fortunes in local factories, giving birth to this bustling multicultural village.
2/3 of the over 16,000 residents here are now non-Korean. The city promotes itself as foreigner-friendly, but area residents feel there's still much left to do before that description applies.
So many people and merchants crowd the streets on the weekends that it takes 10 times longer to get anywhere. The city made the streets pretty, but there's nothing being done to take care of them.
Jung says the government that built the multi-ethnic city is simply turning away from the migrant population and refusing to face the reality of their living situation. To make matters worse, the local community service center says that foreigners are leaving trash bags in the streets, prompting loads of odor complaints.
The lack of government support has raised the concern that the area could eventually turn into a slum and become a place that the local Koreans avoid entirely.
The director says that the people who have helped build this city deserve better support.
Well, Li-an, it does seem like the district is in dire need of support. How important is it for Korea, to remind us, to have foreigners stay in this country in the long haul?
Well, very important, Daniel, if we're considering Korea's economy. The nation's population is expected to contract beginning in 2025, and that's because Korea has the lowest fertility rate in the OECD, meaning the average Korean woman is likely to have just one child. Now, 5 years later, in 2030, the OECD expects Korea to fall into a low growth trap in which its GDP growth is limited to an average of just 1%. But analysts say foreign workers could play a significant role in helping turn things around. According to the Migration Research Center, if the number of foreign workers grows by 10%, it will increase GDP by 0.23%. And if the number rises by 20%, it will increase the GDP by over 0.4%.
So that's pretty significant considering the size of the economy. Now, so Li-an, what is the most urgent task at hand?
Now, like you saw earlier, improving the living conditions for these foreign residents is, of course, important. But in the long run, the education of migrant children is of utmost importance. Experts say it's crucial for these students to receive the right education so they can comfortably assimilate into the mainstream society. But it turns out that only 1 in 4 immigrant children go to middle or high school here in Korea. And to find out why, I did visit a support center in Ansan for multi-ethnic families and met with one immigrant mother from China.
I'm afraid my children will become outcasts because their mom is Chinese. I'm afraid Korean children will not want to play with my children. In Korea, I feel pressured to send my kids to academies after school, but I can't afford it.
And now the officials from the community centers there tells me that this kind of mentality, this fear is actually prevalent among immigrant mothers, and they say the government needs to come up with support measures, for example, by providing supplementary lessons after school specifically designed for these migrant children.
Well, let's hope someday we can look beyond all these boundaries and forget words like assimilation and words like homogeneous and accept them as who they are, Koreans, someday soon. Thank you so much for that report, Li-an.
No problem.